And I went through a very traumatic emotional experience in 2015. I was married for 27 years, 31-year relationship that collapsed in 2015. I ended up homeless, losing a 4.5 million property investing business, living in my car, and I ended up collapsing with congestive heart failure from the stress and the hypertension. Now, I knew I would bounce back. Life has hit me with a lot of challenges before. But I thought to myself, how many women like me find themselves at the age of 50, broke, penniless, broken emotionally and spiritually, and don't know how to get up? So I decided to tell my story. I put a post on Facebook, and I said, I'm looking for 100 other women who would like to share their stories with me. We're going to own these stories. We're not going to let them define who we are. And we're going to tell the stories from a position of strength so that your story becomes the light at the end of the tunnel for another woman. In 48 hours, 2,500 women responded on Facebook. Now remember, I'm in New Zealand. They were in 15 countries. The bulk of those women were from the United States, in Las Vegas. So we launched in Las Vegas with the first 100 speakers. Every woman had to bring 10 friends. So we had almost 1,000 women at that event. One of the first women who believed in me is in this room. She's sitting in the back there. Jerry, please stand up so everybody sees you. And we have been friends ever since. We had the second event in Wellington, same thing, 100 women. Sydney, Australia. Then I got a grant from the New Zealand government that allowed me to travel and recruit speakers to bring them to New Zealand in 2020. I was granted $150,000. It allowed me to travel. It paid for my hotels, my flights, my social media, my marketing. And I thought, instead of just going to recruit the speakers, I'll run events in other countries, then we'll have a reunion in New Zealand at the end of 2020. So I got on a flight. In January, I went to Norway, I went to Sweden. In February, I was in London. In March, I came back to New York. COVID happened while I was in New York. And what looked like a successful idea took off and crashed less than 4 months later. I had paid for venues for 15 events just for North America and Canada for the first quarter of 2020. Nobody ever was able to refund me that money. So I was in a financial black hole. And then I had a series of personal tragedies happen. I had just lost my dad 6 months before this. My father died of a sudden heart attack. On the 23rd of April, 2020, my beautiful mother died. I couldn't go to my own mother's funeral. I still haven't gone back to Africa to see where she's buried. The day of my mom's funeral was the saddest day of my life. In Africa, your gift to your mother is to wash her, dress her before she's buried. I didn't get to do that for my mom. And I woke up that morning so depressed. I have never been so sad before in my life. And the world continued like nothing had happened. I wanted something in the world to change. My brother decided to Zoom us in. So I have a sister who lives in Sydney, Australia. I'm in New Zealand. My brother's in Canada. One brother's in Africa burying our mother alone. So he got us online. He live streamed the funeral. That morning, I remembered a ritual that I used to see being done in Zimbabwe. I used to see that people would shave off their hair when they were in mourning. I didn't know what it meant when I was a child. But I woke up that morning and I took a shaver to my hair. This is an extension. My hair is very short. And I shaved it all off. The poor man I was with at the time woke up in the morning. He could not recognize this bald little woman lying next to him. He said, "Gertrude, what have you done?" I said, "I feel better." And what it does is it releases something in you. You're able to change something, and the only thing you can change is on your own person. So I got on the internet. My sister takes one look at me and starts to laugh hysterically. She laughed so hard. I'm like, "Patricia, why are you laughing? It's Mom's funeral today." And I was a mess. She said to me, "Gertrude, have you looked in the mirror?" I'm like, "Of course I have." She said, "This is so scary. You look like Mom. You're like a reincarnation of her." And I did look like my mother. People used to think we were twins. We were so alike right down to the shape of our nails. If we walked in the street and somebody was coming behind us, people couldn't tell the difference between us. So I started getting ill again. My heart issues came back, the high blood pressure, the chronic fatigue. I started gaining weight. I couldn't get out of bed. So I stopped. I had to grieve. Almost 6 months later, it's now November, I wake up in a dream. And in this dream, I'm brushing my teeth in the morning. I spat into the sink. I look up into the mirror, and the person looking back at me wasn't me. It was my mother. And she was healthy and vibrant and laughing the same way my sister had laughed on the day of her funeral. And she said to me, "Do you see, baby? Do you see what I did?" I'm like, "Mama, where are you? What are you talking about?" She said, "I made you look like me so that you will remember I have not gone anywhere." She said, "I am in you. I am with you. But you need to get up and finish the work you started." And I snapped out of a state of depression. I put the Herstory Circle online, and we scaled to 50,000 women in 18 months in 25 countries. So we were pushing out positive women's stories every single day through the internet. So what you have come to today is a social impact movement. The books that we curate, we publish all of our speakers in a volume with 10 other women. We have a Herstory magazine. We have a Herstory podcast. And we raise money for social impact. We get women out of poverty with very small amounts of money. I can go to a village in Africa, buy beads like this, show a group of 100 women how to string up the beads. We sell them in Western countries, and we are supporting communities all over the world. Today, Jerry is here with another project that she started when she first met me in Las Vegas. I shared a story of how little girls in Zimbabwe don't go to school if they have a period. Our governments do not import menstrual product that the poor can afford. So little girls missed out on school. She got people from her church into her home, converted her home into a factory. And they produced 1,000 kits of reusable sanitary pads for my girls in Africa. The kits come in a small bag, 7 pads for every day of the week. I told her how little girls get raped because they don't have underwear. So she's put in 2 pairs of panties, a small bar of soap, a towel, and a little chart so the girls can track their menstrual cycle and know when it's coming. When COVID happened, we could not ship this product to Zimbabwe. It's been sitting here in the US for almost 2 years. I said, "Jerry, we need to make this sustainable. Start collecting sewing machines, overlockers, so we can ship these to Zimbabwe and start the women's cooperatives, and the mothers can make the pads in country, and the girls can stay in school. So you'll see Jerry on the table at the back there. She's got examples of the product that she's produced. We're trying to raise the funds to ship the sewing machines, the overlockers to Zimbabwe to start this factory. She made a beautiful quilt that we're going to raffle during this event, so please support that effort. That's where that money is going. Now, they say that if you have a vision to change the world, and you can show somebody else what that vision is, you can change the world. I knew I couldn't solve the world's problems on my own. So I started calling on my sisters. You're going to meet an amazing woman this morning who's made today's event happen. Her name is Erin Washington. We met through my podcast. We started talking. I came in September last year to meet her in person because I could sense there was something special about this girl. And Jerry, can I have your iPad? No, not Jerry, Terry. And I told her that I want to come back to the United States this year. This is the first in-person event we've had since 2019. She said, Gertrude, let's do it. Now, she lives in Atlanta, Georgia, but she used to live in Washington, D.C. And she said, I've got a bigger following in Washington, so that's why we're here. So I want to share with you who this woman is, and she has turned into a little sister for me. You know, people used to say that, Gertrude, how do you do so many things? I was ADHD. I just wasn't medicated. I'm now 55. I'm slowing down. I don't have as much energy as I did when I was younger. But when I met Erin, it was like looking at a vision of myself. She is like an energizer bunny. I can call her at any hour of the day and she's on it. I tell her, Erin, do this, call this person. I'm on it. And she gets things done. And that's why we're here today.